All right, family. So, shalom, shalom. So, welcome to Oklahoma City King James Bible University. Then I'm Deacon Micah, and this afternoon, and we're going to be getting ready to wrap up in a Preceptor tutorial. So, then I'm just going to call this one the graduation, since this will be the last instructional tutorial, and just moving forward. Then the homework assignments are going to continue to move forward from this point on out. But, I'll just be giving it out, and hopefully, you guys moving forward and you'll remember everything that you've learned. So just, how to use your keywords appropriately, how to use search functionality in your e-Bibles to start to pull these scriptures. So, while we're going through this last tutorial, just, be mindful of everything that I'm doing and, just try and remember all of this. And if you have any questions about any of the 5 Preceptor tutorials, just send me, an email at deaconmicah@kjbu.org. So, just a few more announcements before we get started. So, after this teaching, and I will be given the next homework assignment, for the people that's going to finish it and answer the question early on this Wednesday that's coming up at 5 p.m., then I'll be doing a study hall. So if anybody thinks that they have the answer to the question that I'm going to give, we'll have a study hall up in Microsoft Teams. We'll have a meeting, and you can come back there and just, voicefully speak what your answer may be in front of me and the other 2 deacons, and we'll run the preceptors and we'll see what you got. And also sometime this week, then me and the other 2 deacons, we are planning to do also a teaching on the figurative and lateral speeches for the First Timothy precepts that Elder Johnson had gave us. So, just be on the lookout for that. But with further ado, then we're going to go ahead and get started with checking the homework assignments from the last week's precepts that I gave. So I wanted some plumb line precepts that shows the plumb line within Israel between just mercy and wrath, depending on how we operate and deal with the Most High's covenant. So the first person that we have up is Brother Elson Winchester. So we're going to look at his precepts, and starting right at the top, right at Genesis chapter 1, verse 4. Then that's his first precept. And it reads, so, and God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And, just Brother Elson Winchester, then I tip my hat off to you. Then you broke out the Genesis. And, this is a powerful precept. And, I give him his props, because Genesis, it's one of the hardest books to read in the Bible. And for, that brother to accurately, pull the precept out of Genesis to show the plumb line, just hats off to him. And it's a clear separation, and he nailed it right on the head. So spiritually speaking, you have to know what the light and what that darkness is, because then that's a plumb line separation. And what I did is this light, then I tagged it in green in the same way with the darkness, and I threw that in the e-Bible to get a word search, and this is what we came up with. So let's move down. So starting with Psalms 19 and 105. So the precepts that y'all see that are in red is stuff that I added on, to their homework submissions that they sent me. So the first one we're going to look at is Psalms 119 and 105. So thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So that's what your light is. It's the word. And we got Proverbs 6 and 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So that's what your light is, and it's the word, and it's the way of truth and righteousness. And then we have Sirach chapter 11, verse 15 and 16. So wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the law are of the Lord. Love and the way of good works are from him. And then we have the twist right here. So error and darkness had their beginning together with sinners, and evil shall wax old with them that glory therein. So the way of wickedness, on the contrary, then that's what your darkness is. And we have more. So Proverbs chapter 4, verse 19. So the way of the wicked is as darkness. So that's your darkness. It's the way of the wicked. They know not at what they stumble, because the people that are walking in truth and the word of the Most High, you're walking in light. And the people that's walking in the way of the wicked, they're walking in darkness. So going back up to Genesis chapter 1, verse 4, and God saw the light. So the word, the way of truth, that it was good. So the way of truth, and God divided, so he separated the light from the darkness. So moving forward down, let's go to Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 through 33. And it reads, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, because this will happen at the very end, and all the holy angels, so the messengers with him, Then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. So this is us. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep. So the people, which when you go to the book of John chapter 10, tells you, my sheep hear my voice, and they follow me, from the goats, the hard-headed. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. So that precept, that Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 through 33, ties right into Genesis chapter 1, verse 4. And that's a separation that's going on there. And then, Brother Elson Winchester, and he also ran into more precepts so out of Paul. So he had 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. And it says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And that's a question. None. And what communion has light with darkness? So truth with wickedness. As none whatsoever. And, I'm going to show you why. So that light and the darkness, I tag those words in green too, because those are key words that we'll throw in a preceptor. And once you throw those in there and you start searching, you'll find these right here that answer that question that Paul was asking. So you got John chapter 1, verse 5. And the light shine in darkness. So you go in a dark room and you have it dark in there first and you flip that light switch, light is going to outshine that darkness every single time. And the darkness comprehended it not. So wherever that light is, and it's going to outshine the darkness. So there's a separation there. And then we have 1 John chapter 5, 1 verse 5 through 7, which is right here. So this then is a message which we have heard of him and declare unto you, that God is light. So it's just truth and righteousness, and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not know the truth. So if you're walking in darkness, you don't know the way of the truth, you're lying, and you're just, deceiving only yourself. But if we walk in the light as he is the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood, so the life of Jesus Christ, his son, his servant, cleanses us from all sin. So that answers your question right there with that 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. What communion has light with darkness? None, because that light is going to outshine that darkness every single time. And, he also ran 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. So wherefore come out from among them. So you have to separate yourself. And be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, which that's given. You touch not the unclean thing, and you separate yourselves from these unbelievers and the folks that are walking in darkness. And to understand, what's going on here with 2 Corinthians 6 and 17, same thing. Then I tagged that touch, and I tagged unclean, and I threw those in a preceptor as well, and this is what you're going to find down here. So the fear of the Lord is clean. So the desire of the Most High, then his ways, then that's what's clean in God's eyes, enduring forever. Got a colon there, so we're getting ready to get more clarification on what was said. So the judgments of the Lord, the doctrines and teachings of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. That's what's clean in his eyes, than his judgments. And we're getting ready to show you what unclean is. So moving down more. But they also have erred through wine. So these priests and everybody else that's not walking in clean ways, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. So they err in vision. They stumble in doctrines and teachings. For all of the tables, so the doctrines that they're learning and eating are full of vomit and filthiness. So that there is no place clean. So that's what your uncleanness is. Then it's just anything that's contrary to what the Spirit of the God is. And what's clean in the Most High's eyes, and it's the fear of the Lord, those judgments. That's what's clean, and what's unclean is anything that's contrary to that. So you can't tie yourself, and you can't touch the unclean thing and expect the Most High to receive you. And the reason why then I say that is this next precept that I added up down here. So we got Leviticus chapter 7 and verse 21, which this is the law. So moreover, the soul, so that's whoever, which now that we're getting on that, then I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to highlight this. And, while we're looking at this verse, the soul. So it doesn't matter who that is. That's me, that's any of the elders, that's any of y'all that are listening right now. Moreover, the soul that shall touch, which that unite, join to any unclean thing. So anything that's contrary to the Spirit of God, as the uncleanness of man or any unclean beast or any abominable unclean thing, and eat, so learn of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which pertain unto the Spirit of God, even that soul shall be cut off from among his people. So you can't ride a fence, which you go back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 4, the Most High, and he separated the light from the darkness. So you have to pick a side. There's a clear plumb line there. And even King David, then he touches on this too with Psalms chapter 2, verse 12. So kiss the Son. So you join yourself to the Son, the servant, or else lest he be angry and you perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. So blessed, so wisdom given are all they that put their trust in him. So you got to join yourself to the servant. Then you have to pick a side, because when it's all said and done at the very end, and he's going to come, as Matthew said, and he's going to separate the sheep from the goats, which, just to put that back in y'all remembrance, and that is Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 through 33. So brother Elson Winchester, then he did real good. And, once again, I got to give him his props for breaking out the Genesis, because, Genesis to me, that's one of the hardest books to read in the Bible. And for you to be able to just, run precepts out of that book, that just, it holds a lot of weight with me. So brother did real good. So about to get ready to move on to the next submission. Let's take this down real quick. This out of the way. And who we got next? So we got Sister Clark. So first precept that she had was Amos chapter 3, verse 8. So let me go on ahead and get this ready. So, and the Lord said unto me, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a plumb line. Then said the Lord, so a creator, remember, I will set a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. I will not again pass by them anymore. So Most High is telling us right there in Amos chapter 3, verse 8, that he's set a plumb line in Israel. And I created a little visual that I want to share with y'all on this plumb line, so we can get a visual representation of what this is talking about. So this right here, then this is your plumb line. And a plumb line, then it's just any sort of instrument that's used for the purpose of, straightness and precision. So it could be, like a 2x4, and it could be a pipe. It can even be a string, which if you're going to use a string, you just attach and fasten a weight at the bottom of it to achieve that verticality. So, you use that. You can use it, physically for purposes of aligning something to make sure that it's straight and level. But in this case, spiritually, this plumb line, and it's used to put a straight division within us. And the reason why is you got to remember, so right at the top with Exodus chapter 12, verse 38, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, semicolon, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. So when the Most High brought us up out of Egypt, so, this confusion, the place of bondage and disobedience, a mixed multitude of our forefathers went up out of Egypt and were in the wilderness being tested. And so as it is back then, it's the same thing today. Among us, then we have a mixed multitude of Israelites. So you have believers with non-believers, and while you're in your physical life right now, this one right here, you got to choose a side, and it's either going to be God or it's going to be Mammon. So I have another precept here. We got Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, and it says, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, the Spirit of God, choose you this day whom you will serve. And this is your options. So whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood of these doctrines, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And that's Joshua, letting the Israelites know during that time, choose you this day who you're going to serve. And we have to put ourselves in those positions too. You got to choose who you're going to serve. You got to pick a side. So which side of the plumb line will it be? And before then I move back forth, and this visual that I have right here, this is in Microsoft Teams. So, if you want to see it, then you just go over to the Preceptor Academy, and then you just go to the Files section, and that pictured, and it's right here. So just if anybody wants to use it or download it or store it for themselves, and you're more than welcome to use that. That's why it was created. So just to go back to the Preceptor. So right with me, this back down. All right. So with Amos chapter 3 verse 8, he's letting us know that he set a plumb line in the midst of his people Israel, which I added some more precepts to that. So we have Luke chapter 12 verse 51 through 53. It's the first one that we're going to run. So suppose ye that I come to give peace on the earth. So that's a question. And this is Christ also telling us, I tell you, nay, no, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one household divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And this is what happens when the truth is introduced in any sort of social situation. As soon as that truth is introduced, you're going to have one person that's going to draw near the truth, and you're going to have other people that's going to remain in their natural carnal states, and it's going to cause much division. And just with John chapter 1 verse 5, the light it shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not. And this happens with everybody, especially in the KJBU. When you come into truth, you're going to have people that are going to not comprehend nor understand. And it may cause division. It may cause them to cut you off, but you got to keep moving forward. Here's what it is. Christ said he came not to give peace on earth, but rather division. And he's coming to get what's his. So this was a good precept. And next one we have is back on that mixed multitude. So going back to Exodus chapter 12, verse 38. Which I typed mixed multitude up in there and found, more precepts to get that understanding there. That's why this is highlighted orange. So, and the mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle, which that mixed multitude, that's your believers with non-believers, and you'll figure that out once you go down to Numbers chapter 11, verse 4 through 6. And this is what the mixed multitude did. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. So they was lusting back for the ways of Babylon and confusion. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? So instead of the manna, you want flesh. We remember the fish which we did eat, learn in Egypt freely. So all of this food, this fleshly food, so the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks, and the onions, and the garlic. That's the stuff that they was lusting after. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes. So right there in the wilderness, then they're choosing what side of the plumb line that they want it to be on. So the Most High, he's given us manna, raining it down every day, and we're supposed to be gathering a certain rate, learning of that. But the mixed multitude, during that time, at least the non-believers, then they wanted to eat and learn the ways of Egypt again. And it's the same way with some of us today too. And the Most High, and he's not trying to, get us to learn the ways of Egypt, and he wants us to learn his manna. So going to Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger. He's trying to put your flesh to death. And when you hunger, he wants to feed you with his manna, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he may make thee know that man doeth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord do man live. And we have more. And once then you get this knowledge, you got to make a clear, conscious decision on what you want to do. So this is Matthew chapter 10, verse 38 and 39. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth me after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life, so you're trying to save that flesh, this first life, shall lose it. You're going to lose the second one. And he that loses his life, so you put this life down, for my sake, shall find it. It's just that simple. And, Matthew speaks more on this in chapter 6, verse 24. So no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. So you cannot serve God and mammon, which that brings us right back to that plumb line. So that's our forefathers, and it's the same way with us. And you got to pick a side. Then you can't ride a fence. And let me get this down. All right, so going to Galatians chapter 5, verse 17, Paul is also expanding on this too, which is going off of what we left off with Matthew, where you can't serve two masters. For the flesh, which what our forefathers, the ones that unbelievers that wanted that knowledge of Egypt, they lusted for they were in the flesh, lusting for fleshly things, and the flesh lusted against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. So you have to pick. And it's Paul speaks on this more when you drop down more to Romans chapter 6, verse 17. So know ye not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. So we're building, getting ready to build up to the precept that's getting ready to come at the bottom. And Christ is also letting you know, I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. So he didn't say anything about Christ loving them that despises him. Then he loves them that loves him. So you have to pick a side. And this also goes down to Matthew 10, verse 32 through 33. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me, so if you deny him before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. And he will do that because it's in his law. So we have Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 21. And thy eyes shall not pity. So in this life, then you're going to pick which one you want to save. And when it's all said and done, you're going to be judged accordingly. But life shall go for life. That's a guarantee. So then if you give the flesh is going to go for the spirit. And if you give up the spirit, then the spirit is going to go for the flesh. So life is going to go for life. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So you have to pick a side. And that's that plumb line. And, the other two precepts that Terry Clark ran is she has Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 through 37, which we had just looked at that earlier. But think not that I come to send peace on earth. So just to put that in your remembrance again. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household, which that's especially true than if you end up marrying somebody and then you come into the truth later, and you come into the truth and they don't, and your own foe is in your own household. So he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And just think about what Proverbs 8 and 17 said. He loves him that loves him. But if you're pitting flesh, so just dirt before Christ, you're not worthy of him. And then, she also ran Exodus chapter 34, verse 5, 7, and 9. And the Lord descended in a cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. And the Lord passed before him and proclaimed the Lord. So the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and fourth generation. So by no means is clearing the guilty. So when it's all said and done, when you appear before him, and if you decided to pit the flesh before the spirit, just where Deuteronomy chapter 19 verse 21 is saying, life shall go for life. So you have to think about that. So Sister Clark, then she did good as well. It was good precepts. We'll get ready to take hers down, and we'll go to the next person. So bring this down, double click it. I'm just going to minimize this and move this out of the way. Don't want to go nowhere. All right. So the next one is going to be Sister Collins. And she started off with Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 9. So They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love. So keeping the Most High's commandments, and if you ever want to see what love is, you just go to 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, and it'll let you know that love is the keeping of his commandments, and none of them are grievous. So, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him, for grace and mercy is to his saints, and just the saints only, and he has care for his elect. But, so the plumb line right here, the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and have forsaken, so you forgot the Creator. So the saints, they get the grace and mercy. The ungodly are going to be punished to their own imaginations. And if you ever want to figure out what imaginations is, that's why I tagged that one, and I went in through that in a e-Bibles, and this is what you're going to pull. So you got Genesis chapter 8 verse 21. So, and the Lord smelt a sweet savor, and that's a semicolon, so that thought is over with. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, which that's another semicolon, so this thought is done. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, this is the one that we're looking for, this thought right here. So when you go back up to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verse 9 and 10, namely verse 10, but the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which the imaginations of our heart is evil, which is neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord. So, if you're neglecting his righteousness and, doing this evil, you're going to be punished according to that. So let's go down and see what else. Actually, I'm done with that one. So next one that he had is Sirach, or that she had, excuse me, is Sirach chapter 16, verse 11 through 14. And if there be one stiff-necked among the people, it is a marvel if he escape unpunished. And this is why. For mercy and wrath. So he has both sides. So you can't let the Christians, twist you up on that one. He has both sides, and he can equip both of them accordingly for however he needs to judge you. So for mercy and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure, which I'm going to go ahead and bold that one, because that needs to be bolded. Go ahead and get that. So he is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judges a man according to his works, which this is important because it's telling you he judges a man according to his works. You can't pit your judgment and, the whole sake of your eternity on, Yahweh shot a man. You're going to be judged according to your works. The sinner shall not escape with his spoils, and the patience of the godly shall not be frustrated. So make way for every work of mercy, for every man shall find according to his works. So Most High, then he's letting us know that he has mercy and wrath, and he has both sides. And, depending on how you deal with this covenant, it's going to dictate what type of judgment that you get when it's all said and done. So I have more precepts on that, which we have Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 14. For God shall bring every work into judgment. So everything that we're doing, your words, your actions, your thoughts, all of that, it's going to come up, and you're going to be counseled on it with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And moving down to Sirach 5 and 6, and say not his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. And this is why. So Bible is getting ready to repeat itself. For mercy and wrath come from him, and his indignation rests upon sinners. So then you can't just deceive yourself in your own heart thinking that, his mercy is just that great that you can keep on sinning over and 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 over again, and just think that you're going to get that mercy. Then he has both sides, and you will trigger that wrath. And this is Sirach speaking some more on this. So we have chapter 3, verse 26. So a stubborn heart shall fear evil at the last. So that stubborn heart not being obedient, not wanting to listen and take instruction. A stubborn heart shall fear evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. That's your plumb line right there too. So, and she added another precept, which she went out of the law and went to the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verse 8. So up here, Numbers 14 and 8, and it says, If the Lord delight in us, if the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey, which that's a true statement. That's if he delights in us, which, if you want to tear this down more, I tagged delight and I tagged land, and I threw those in the search bars for the e-Bibles, and you're going to pull up stuff that'll help you tear down Numbers 14 and 8, and this is what I came up with. So we have Proverbs chapter 11, verse 20 to figure out, what the Lord's delight is. So they that are of a froward heart are an abomination to the Lord. But, so this is the contrast, but such as are upright in their way are his delight. So us that are among Israel that are upright in a way, those are the delight. And those are going to be the people that go into the land. And it was the same thing with our forefathers that came out of the wilderness. All of those that were stiff-necked and disobedient and hard-headed, they didn't get to see the land. And, the people that crossed over Jordan and went over there, you commit iniquity, then you start to worship other gods, turn onto idolatry, and do all sorts of things that are unclean. You go into captivity, you get driven out of the land. And this is why we're here today. So look at Numbers chapter 14, verse 22 to 23. Because all those men which have seen my glory, so you've seen the righteousness, and you've seen the glory, and you've seen the knowledge of the Most High, and my miracles which I did in Egypt, so in confusion, and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened unto my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swore unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. And that's fair game for us today too. And none of us that are in this wilderness right now that's provoking the Most High is going to see that good land, which, Deuteronomy, then it gives us our next precept. For they went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them. And the anger of the Lord was counted against this land. So that's talking about us, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger, and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day, because we're not in our land. We're still in captivity. We're still in our timeout corner, learning what we did wrong and trying to get it right. So just as the Most High had told us in Numbers chapter 14, verse 23, surely they shall not see the land which I swore unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. And all of us, and we've done stuff that have provoked the Most High. So we have to get it right, and we're standing in the corner, so we're in timeout. So we have Deuteronomy also, chapter 30, verse 1 through 5, which is talking about this some more. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. So you're getting your act together and meditating on what you did, meditating on your failures, your shortcomings, whether the Lord thy God has driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul. You got to give him your 100%. Then that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the uttermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. So there's a plumb line even on the land. Anybody that's provoking the Most High is not going to see it. And we also have another precept from Psalms chapter 2, verse 24, verse 3 through 5. So who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who shall stand in his holy place? So we're getting ready to get the answer to that. He that has clean hands. So with your hands, then it's washed from blood, it's washed from life, then it's washed from iniquity, and a pure heart. So you're not devising wicked imaginations, not thinking about evil devices, who has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully, which then we all swore in Exodus chapter 24, verse 7, which I'm going ahead and pull that up. let me pull up this e-Bible. So show us what we said. So go into the book of Exodus, chapter 24, verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient. And not only did we say that, those words, and they were also returned back to the Most High. So let's go ahead and put my notes. So we got Sirach, next precept, and I'm going to show is this Sirach chapter 11, verse 10 through 19 and 20. So we swore unto that all that he said we'll do and be obedient. So we go to KJV 16:11. Going to go to the book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 19 through 20. So I'm going to pull it. Actually, excuse me, that's the wrong precept. It's 10. I don't know why I was thinking about 11. All right, So they that fear the Lord are a sure seed, and they that love him, so keeping his commandments, an honorable plant. So they that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress, so forget the commandments, are a deceivable seed. So you don't want to be deceivable. And then we also have Deuteronomy chapter 27, verse 16. So let me pull it. So cursed be he that set light. So you're dealing lightly, dealing treacherously by his father, which is the spiritual. So this is talking about the creator or his mother. This is Christ. And all the people shall say amen. So that's in our Bible, and we also amen to that. So cursed be he that set light by his father or his mother. So you're dealing treacherously with either one of those two. So saying right there, who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who shall stand into his holy place? So he that has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. So we all have to reason amongst ourselves and do it like a self-assessment and see if we sworn deceitfully so far. So he shall receive the blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. So Psalms chapter 24, verse 3 through 5 is also letting us know then who's going to send into the hill. So there's a plumb line with going into the land as well. So we're getting ready to go up and, break down. Well, actually, those were the precepts that I pulled from Sister Venus. So, she did good as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and take hers down and pull up the next person. So take this down. And now we got Sister Johnson. So she started off with Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6 through 10. So, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. So the Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, so above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord thy God did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, had the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And this is the catch right here. So verse 9 and 10. So know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, so the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. And I didn't bold it, but right here, right after that generations, there's a semicolon. So this thought right here is over. So the mercy is going with them that keep his commandments. So you got a semicolon there, and this is a plumb line right here. And repayeth them that hate him to their face. So to destroy them, he will not be slack to him that hateth him. So you're despising his covenants. He will repay him to his face. And then Sister Johnson, and she hit us with the old whammy with the Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 14 and 15 to 68, which, that's a good plumb line precepts right there. And, from this point forward, I'm going to make sure that my questions are tailored to where, the card trick won't work anymore. So I'm going to give her that one. And, just got to remember the plumb line. Which side are you going to be on? Because there is a mixed multitude within Israel, and you have to pick your side. So hold on, let me. All right. So we resume, pull back up the Preceptor. All right. So get this out of the way. So next person we have is Brother David Royal. So we have his precepts. And he started with Malachi chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. So, and now, O ye priests. So this is addressed to the priests that are handling the word of God. This commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yeah, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. So the thing that we can extract from Malachi chapter 2, verse 1 and 2 is the Most High, and he's not playing with none of anybody, and it also goes for the priests as well. And if you don't give glory to his name, all of your blessings will be cursed. And sooner or later, I'll be doing a teaching on this because, and this is on my radar, and I will do want to cover that some more. So he also gave us Exodus chapter 32, verse 26 to 28, which is also that who's on the Lord's side. So I'm going to run this one again just to get this to stick. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, which this is the word of truth. Moses, word of truth, stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. So you have to remember, cursed is they that deal lightly with his father or his mother. You can't be dealing deceitfully with the covenant, and there are repercussions then when you transgress and trespass. There is a plumb line within the Most High's judgment. And then the next thing he had was this Tobit chapter 13, verse 6. So if you turn unto him with your whole heart and with your whole mind, and deal uprightly before him, so not dealing deceitfully, then he will turn unto you and will not hide his face from you. Therefore, see what he will do with you, and confess him with your whole mouth, and praise the Lord of might, and extol the everlasting King. In the land of my captivity do I praise him, and declare his might and majesty to a sinful nation. So, O ye sinners, so this is addressed to every last one of us, because all of us are sinners, turn and do justice before him. Who can tell if he will accept you and have mercy on you? So the key takeaways is that if you turn to him with your whole heart and, deal uprightly with him and not deceitfully, next thing is in the land of your captivity, which that's why earlier than we seen at Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 5, while you're in the land of your captivity, then you're going to call to mind everything that we've did. And, you're going to get it right, and you're going to be praising the Most High in the land of your captivity. And we have to turn and do justice and judgment before him. And Brother David, and he also left Leviticus 26 and 14 to 16 with us. But if you will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if you shall despise, which, let me go back. So it says, but if you will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, so we got a semicolon, so this thought is done. And if you shall despise my judgments, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, but that you break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. So the Most High, then he's already letting us know right there, which I bolded it and underlined it because, that's something of emphasis. Then if you abhor him, he's going to abhor you too. So if your soul abhors his judgments and all of his commandments and break his covenant, he's going to abhor you too. It's right there. I also will do this unto you. So semicolon. So that thought, then it's done. I will even appoint over you terror, so consumption and a burning ague, that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart, and you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. So, Brother David, then he did good too. Then these are all plumb line precepts. So, Brother David and Sister Johnson, and they both knocked it out the ballpark with their precepts. So I'm going ahead and take this down. You get this. Hopefully this will come down. All right, so who's next? All right, we got Sister Collier, and she ran. Let me open this up some more so to be bigger. All right. She started off with Romans chapter 9, verse 13 through 15, and we're getting ready to tear down into this right here. So, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? So God forbid. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So, interesting thing about this precept is that, I was like just scrolling around. I was in that group that Deacon DeForest and Deacon Quentin is in, where you have all of these other camp folks throwing around scriptures that they don't understand. And somebody tried to interpret this, and they got it completely wrong. They were saying, they didn't get this question, why is it, no, God forbid that there's no unrighteousness with God if he loved Jacob and hated Esau, which, you have to precept these verses to get understanding. So you have to focus in on Jacob, and you got to focus in on Esau. And just also know that the Most High, and he already told us that he judges a man according to his works. So you go to Proverbs chapter 8, verse 17. I love them that love me. That's clear. I love them that love me, and those that seek me shall find me early. And he already told us in Deuteronomy 7 and 9, know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Reason why this 13 is the way that it is, Jacob have I loved, but Esau as I hated, is because Esau, then he was a sinful man, and he was put aside for Jacob. Jacob was not a sinful man. So Most High, then he judges us according to our works, and depending on how you operate within his covenant and you deal with his judgments, then that's going to dictate how he's going to deal with you. So you got that Sirach 16 and 12 and 14. So just bringing us back. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judges a man according to his works. So make way for every good work of mercy, for every man shall find according to his works. So Jacob, then his works was one way, and Esau's work was another way. And now we're getting ready to look more into Esau. So we're getting ready to go down to Genesis chapter 25, picking it up in verse 25. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And this is another one that camps, they mess up all of the time too. They think that red, see, then that's the white man right there. You see, when they get mad, they necks and they get red, they forehead get red, all of this. No, then they're looking at that the wrong way. And Most High's already told us the precepts we get understanding. So I tagged red, and we're getting ready to figure out what that red is talking about, because Esau, then he came out red. So Isaiah chapter 1 verse 18 is the first precept. So come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, so it's equating sins with that color, they shall be white as snow, which white, then that's righteousness, which, I'm going to show you what white is created with. So we're going to pick up right here. We're going to go back to the KJV online, and we're getting ready to roll to Revelations chapter 19, verse 8. So this is what we need. This is what the Most High wants our color to be. Though our sins be as scarlet, they shall be white. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. So not the skin color white, but just the color white, and it's equated with righteousness. So sin, like that's red, that white, then it's righteousness. So let me pull this back up. So come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white. Though they be red, there's that red right there, like crimson, they shall be as wool. So Esau, then he was a sinful man. That's what that red is talking about. And the first came out red. Sins, he was sinful. And Jacob, then he was not. And, we have more precepts to tear this down. Both of them, they were contrary one to the other. So we have Genesis chapter 25, verse 22 to 23. And the children struggled together within her. So this is talking about Rebekah. And the two children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, so 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So 2 manner, then one is going to be different from the other. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Then we know that the flesh is weak. Spirit is what's strong. So you have one child that's within her that's struggling, that's in the flesh, and another one that's in the spirit. And that's why they're struggling together inside of her, because they're contrary one to the other, the spirit against flesh. So that'll take you to Galatians chapter 5, verse 17. For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. They're contrary to one another. So when you go back up to Romans chapter 9, verse 13 through 15, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So then he loved the way of Jacob and hated the way of Esau. And what we have to do is just remember a self-assessment. You got to put yourself in a situation. So, would you put yourself with Jacob? So as it is written, insert name here, have I loved, but insert name here, have I hated. And if you're on this side currently right now, Esau, you got to correct that while you got time in this world. So let's go down some more. And these are more precepts that Sister Collier provided. So we got Psalms chapter 75, verse 10. So all the horns, so the lineages of the wicked also will I cut off. Semicolon. So that thought is finished. We're getting a whole new one. But the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. It's your plumb line right there. So here's another one. We got Proverbs chapter 15, verse 29. So the Lord is far from the wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteousness. Another plumb line. And then we have that Sirach chapter 16, verse 11 and 12. And if there be one stiff-necked among the people, it is a marvel if he shall escape unpunished, which for mercy and wrath, got both sides, are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure, which I'm a bold at when I bolded it before, and I'm going to bold it again. So can't forget that side, because the Christians, they always talk about God's merciful side, and we don't talk about that displeasure side. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. And let's go down some more. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judges a man according to his works. And that's exactly what was going on with Jacob and Esau, and it's going to happen with every last one of us too. So Sister Barbara, then she did good as well. I ain't complaining there with the precepts that she gave with Romans chapter 9, verse 13 to 15, or the 3 down here at the bottom. So then she did good too. Then I'm going to take this down. All right. So got to get this out the way. Hopefully it'll go down. All right. And we got Sister Brown. Hold on. Yeah, and I'm in a teaching right now. Yeah, then I'm going to get back to you, all right? All right. All right, so this is Sister Brown. So we got her precepts, and, Sister Brown, and she also sent, like, the PDF file for her precept, and then she lined everything out right, where she had the subject line up there, then she had the additional clarification line, and also the final remarks line, and all of it was laid out nice. But I grabbed some precepts also from what she had submitted, and this is first one that I had pulled from our homework submission. So we got 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 7 through 9, and it says, and be not ye like your fathers, and like your brethren which trespass, so they trespass against the Lord God of their fathers, whom therefore gave them up to desolation, as ye see, which we are still in our state of desolation. So now be ye not stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves unto the Lord, and enter into his sanctuary, which he has sanctified forever, and serve the Lord your God, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you. For if ye turn again unto the Lord, your brethren and your children shall find compassion before them that lead them captive, so that they shall come again into this land. For the Lord your God is gracious and merciful, and will not turn away his face from you, if you return unto him. So the first thing that we have to unpack is going back to verse 8, where it says, don't be stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves unto the Lord and enter into his sanctuary. Because you got to remember, let me pull that back up. So I'm going to throw this back on our faces again. You got to pick a side. And, Paul, which I had showed that earlier, bringing it back. So Romans 6:16, know ye not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. And we got to yield ourselves unto the Lord in obedience and righteousness. And the reason why is when you go further through verse 8, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you, because his grace and mercy is to those, his saints, that are keeping his commandments. And, Sister Brown, and she also gave us plumb line in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 21. So evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. Which, what I did is she had already tagged these evil and good, and I went and pulled Sirach chapter 39, verse 25 through 30. So we're going to look at that. So for the good are good things created from the beginning. So evil things for sinners. So we're going to look at these good things. So the principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, so we've got iron and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. So those are your good things. These are the principal things, and this is all talking about knowledge. And if you want to ever see how it's talking about knowledge, you go back to what they are tied to, the principal things. So you type that up in your word search in any e-Bible, and you're going to pull Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7 down here. Wisdom is the principal thing. So all of these things up here in Sirach chapter 39, verse 26, that's talking about knowledge. These are the good things that are created for the good. So wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy understand, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So these are the good things that are created for the good. So let's look at the plumb line when you go further down with Sirach. Sirach chapter 39, verse 27 through 30. All these things are for the good to the godly, nearest your plumb line. So to the sinners they are turned into evil. And this is your evil things right here for the sinners. So there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In a time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them. So you got fire and hail and famine and death. So all these were created for vengeance. Got teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and a sword punishing the wicked unto destruction. So, Sister Brown, and she hit it right on the head with that Proverbs 13 and 21 right here. So, evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. Then this is clearly a plumb line precept in that Proverbs chapter 13, verse 21. And then she also gave us Sirach chapter 35, verse 16 through 19. So let me go ahead and pull that up. So we went to it. So he that serveth the Lord shall be accepted with favor, and his prayer shall reach unto the clouds. So the prayer of the humble pierceth the clouds, until it come nigh, he will not be comforted, and will not depart till the Most High shall behold to judge righteously and execute judgment. For the Lord will not be slack, neither will the mighty be patient toward them, till he have smitten and sundered the loins of the unmerciful, and repay a vengeance to the heathen. So these are adversaries of God. Till he has taken away the multitude of the proud, so the people that are uplifted in heart, and broken the scepter of the unrighteous, till he has rendered to every man according to his deeds, and to the works of men according to their devices, till he has judged the cause of his people and made them to rejoice in his mercy. And, Sister Brown, and she hit that right on the head. I ain't got nothing to say there. And then we have Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15 through 19. So, see ye, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. So, Elder Jenkins and the Deuteronomy class, and he hit this on the head a whole lot. So, see, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil, and that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways. So he's elaborating on how we're to love him, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land which thou goest to possess it. But, plumline, if thy heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto thee this day that ye shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon a land whither thou passest over Jordan to go and possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. So therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed mayest live. So, Sister Brown, and she's crushing it. You got Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15 through 19, and she gave us Joshua chapter 23, verse 11 through 16. So take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God, which got to go back to this plumb line. You got to pick your side. Got to pick your side. So take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else, if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they unto you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes. So, going to blind you from the truth, going to put obstructions where you won't be able to see judgment anymore, until you perish from off this good land which the Lord your God has given you. And behold, remember, this day I goeth the way of all the earth, and you shall know in your hearts and in your souls that not one thing has failed of all the good things which the Lord your God spake concerning you. All are come to pass unto you, and not one thing has failed thereof. So therefore it shall come to pass that as the good things are come upon you, which the Lord your God has promised you, so shall the Lord bring upon you all evil things, until he has destroyed you from off this good land which the Lord your God has given you. So that verse 15 had a plumb line in it. When you have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, which he hath commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourselves to them, then shall the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from the good land which he has given unto you. So that's Joshua right there, breaking it down to our forefathers. In verse especially 15, that, as the good things have come upon you, then if you turn, he will bring those evil things upon you too. Which that goes right back to that Proverbs 13 and 21. Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. So, Sister Brown, and she crushed it too with the precepts that she gave. So I'm going to take this down. Let me get this to come down. And then we have Elder Smith. All right. So Elder Smith, then he also, I used the Preceptor just the same way that Sister Brown did, laid out his subject line, his remarks line, and also the clarification line, and he used all of his rows accordingly, and he did a good job too. And he went back, took us way back to Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 and 6 with the covenant. So now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So we got a plumb line right in Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. If you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, which that indeed, then that's in works. So I got some precepts that I added on right here. These are my 4 right here in red. So Exodus 24:7. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord has said, we will do and be obedient. That's your indeed right there. Doing what was said and being obedient. And then we have 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. My little children, which that's addressing us, let us not love in word, neither in tongue. So you get all of that lip service out of the way, but in deed and in truth. And we got James also. So, but be ye doers of the word. So you got to show your works. You got to do it and not be hearers only, deceiving yourselves. And we have Psalms chapter 119, verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. So when it's saying, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed, so in works and in truth, which we know that his law is the truth. So you plug that in with Exodus 19:5 when it's saying, if you will obey my voice indeed, so in works and in truth, which that'll also take you to, now that I think about it, John chapter 4, verse 24. God is the spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So that's the plumb line right there that Christ broke down to us. If you'll obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So that's a plumb line right there. Then we have Exodus 34:6-7, which this was ran earlier, but we're going to run it again. And the Lord passed by before him and proclaimed the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, in abundance in goodness and in truth. So keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that by will no means clear the guilty. Because if you have sins worthy to be put to death and you don't get your act together, you won't be cleared. So visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So with his mercy, there's a plumb line there too, which, all of the other people that submitted homework, they were showing you that with their submissions. And then we have another precept where we have a warning that Moses gave us. So take heed to yourselves that your hearts be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up heaven that there be no rain, so no more knowledge. Then you turn aside from God and worship other gods, that heaven is going to get shut up, so no more knowledge. And that the land yield not her fruit, so that's us, and we won't be yielding good works anymore, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you. So that was our warning. And then here's an example of us where we messed up. So we have Exodus chapter 32, verse 7-14. And the Lord said unto Moses the word of truth, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest up out of the land of Egypt had corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods. So then you've just turned God out of the way, and you've made something by the works of your own hands. O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people, which we surely are hard-headed. And I'm going to go ahead and bold this one and underline that one, because that's true. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. And, you got to give your hats off to Moses, and he appealed for every last one of us. So we have in verse 11, and Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doeth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and sayest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and that they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord remembered of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. So you got to give it to Moses, and he appealed for every last one of us, and the Most High repented of that evil that he thought to do unto us. But you have to not forget what Exodus 34:7 says. So keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty. So keep that in mind. So we did the action, but there was still a punishment that happened. So we got Exodus chapter 32, verse 25 to 28. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? So let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, so put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. So there was judgment within the camp. So that being said, Elder Smith, and he knocked it out the ballpark too. And we'd get ready to shut this one down right here. Let's get this out of the way. All right, so moving right back up to the top of the Preceptor, then this thing is finally complete. So, look at all of our rows. Then it's just full of precepts right there. And another thing that I wanted to show y'all is I did compile and make a little Precept Booklet. So it's called God Hates the Sinner and the Sin, and everything that we've been going over all this time throughout the tutorials, and all of this stuff is here. So, it's a cover page, and then we have the table of contents. So it's everything that we talked about. So you remember the first one, how God feels about the sinners. That God's love comes with a plumb line, how to love God. Got the precepts of Romans 5 and 8, and the plumb line, which we just was going through right now. So, all of these precepts for God hates the sinner and the sin, and it's in this booklet that I put together. So that's a little memento of all of this hard work that we've been doing over all of this time. So all of those precepts, and it's there. And if you want to get access to this, all you have to do is just go to Microsoft Teams, and you just go to the Preceptor Academy, and that God Hates the Sinner and Sin PDF, that booklet, and it's right here, and it's just available for anybody that wants to use it. So, so we got homework. So, getting ready to give out the homework assignments. So, what you're looking at right now is just a preview from Adobe stock footage that I'm getting ready to use later. So, reason I'm using this is because it reminds me of a time where I was living up in Pensacola, Florida, and we used to enjoy the beaches. And one thing about those beaches is one of our favorite things to do. Me and some of my friends in the military, then we would go right up to where those shorelines is at, and just watch all of the waves. They just come right up, then they just crash against your legs, and then another one would come, another one would come, another one would come, and then another one would come. It's pretty dope. And point I'm getting with all of this is that everything that God created is for our learning. So the clouds, the sun, the waves, and even that sand. And the question that I'm giving y'all that I want to know is what is the purpose of the sand? Why was it created? So that is the homework assignment, and I'm gonna give y'all some hints, which I already gave a big one. You just talking through that, so just go back and look through this. I'm gonna pull up the Preceptor. Let me see if I have a file for it, which I may not. So I don't. Not on this computer it is. So, when you go out and lay your Preceptor together, the thing that you need to know is, what does the water stand for? What does the earth stand for spiritually? And you'll be, in a good direction. And, if you have any pictures, or if you live near water, you can go out and just look at it, just go out and just watch it. Just watch the waves and watch the water, and something, then it may click. So this Wednesday, then if anybody answers the homework assignment and takes care of it early, then we will have a study hall in Microsoft Teams, and you could show me what you got. So I'm getting ready to go on ahead and make this homework assignment right now. So assignments, getting ready to later smack down on everybody. So create assignment. So what is the purpose of sand? Why is it created? And what can we learn from? Actually, yeah. So what is the purpose of the sand and why is it created? So what can we learn from that sand? So that's the homework assignment. Where's the due date? So today is the 22nd. The homework assignment to be due next week. And be next week. We pick a time zone. We'll go with 8 a.m. And let me see. This is to be for all students. All right. So we're getting ready to assign this right now. And with that being said, family, then that's wraps up that God hates the sinner and the sin. So tomorrow, then we'll be picking up on a Precept Written Communication Tool. So I think I have a picture of that. Hopefully I do. Then let me check my downloads and see if dang it. No, I do not have a picture of the Precept Written Communication Tool. So let me just show y'all a thumbnail of what I'm talking about. So go to YouTube, just gonna go to my channel. Go to OKC, King James Bible University. All right, so tomorrow, where's my mouse? All right, so tomorrow, then we'll be talking about this right here. So just let me going over the Precept Written Communication Tool. So, I'll see y'all tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. That Precept Booklet with the God Hates the Sinner and the Sin. All of those precepts. Just please print that out. Keep it for yourselves. That plumb line thing that I put together. Use that for yourselves as well. And also another thing I want to admit, the last thing that I'll bring out is for this Precept Written Communication Tool. Me and Elder Johnson, and we are working to get all of these words that are in these selection banks defined with some examples. So, y'all have that to use as well when you're using this tool. But tomorrow, then we'll be going over Deuteronomy Chapter 17, verse 17. Same thing that Elder Johnson went over, but, I'm going to show you how the tool works, because that scalpel, it's the same thing that this is. And I'm going to show you how to use this, and the precepts I'm going to give you, it's going to be the same, arriving at the same answer. Just new precepts, same thing that Elder Johnson was telling you. But thanks for hanging out. This is OKC King James Bible University, and until next time, peace.